And this video I'm going to explain this example, this limit that we have on the left, top left. And I already did the test about to check out whether this limit was approaching to x equal to x to -3, what would happen. And I found just here, now of course we got a 0 over 0, so we got to do something about it. Now the thing is, just by looking at the limit, we got here two fractions on the numerator, and we got two fractions here in the denominator. So in a sense, what we got to do is getting a common denominator for both cases with the numerator and the denominator. So let's get to it. Here is the limit already copied here down below, and let's proceed to this algebra thing. Let's see here, and well, let's see. Let's get the common denominator. So with the fraction that we got above, this 3 over 2 times x plus 1, we got to multiply times the other denominator, which is this 5. So I'm going to multiply times 5 over 5, 5 over 5, and then would be plus the other fraction, which is 3 over 5, times this other denominator, which is 2 times x plus 1. So we got to multiply this one times 2 times x plus 1 over 2 times x plus 1. This will be all over. The other fraction below would be 1 over x plus 5 would be times the other denominator, which is 2. So it will be times 2 over 2. It will be plus, minus 1/2 times the other denominator, which is this x plus 5. Will be here x plus 5 over x plus 5. There it is. Now let's proceed with this with the algebra in here and see what we get. So well, this first fraction will ended up looking at this would be a 15. 3 times 5 will make 15. It will be 5 times 2 times x plus 1. This is a very ugly one. There it is. It will be plus, here would be I'm going to multiply. It will be 3 times 2 times x plus 1 will make 6 times x plus 3. 6 times x plus 3 will be 3 times 2 times x. That will make this 6 times x, and then 3 times 1 will make this other possibility that we have below. I'm not multiplying the guys below this 5 times 2 times x plus 1 just for a reason. It would be, you can do it if you want to. I'm not going to do it because I already know a few things about this topic, and it would be kind of pointless up to a moment. Now let's continue with this fraction. Will be 2 over 2 times x plus 5. It will be minus, this last fraction would be x plus 5 over 2 times x plus 5. There it is. Well, this fraction was pretty big, so let's continue. Let's add up the fractions now. So it would be, let's go down here. Now adding up the fractions would be 15 plus 6 times x plus 3 would be all over 5 times 2 times x plus 1. This is all over. Oh, it's a very ugly line. Let's see, all over. There will be 2 minus. Now be very careful with this negative sign. It would affect both of these guys. So I'm going to use an extra step just to make things clearer. This would be over 2 times x plus 5, and now let's continue in this one. Would be well, this will be pretty much unchanged, so I'm going to copy this one and I'm going to erase and correct what's going to actually be different in the next step. It's in here. There it is. And let's see, let's continue down here. Now in this case, what's going to change is what's going to happen with this negative sign affecting the x and the plus 5. In this case, you see, this negative sign we'll change the sign, of course, of the x, making it, of course, a negative x. I'm going to just rewrite it in a nicer way, this negative x. But this positive 5 would also be affected, switch to a negative 5. It's a very, there it is. Now we can simplify, of course, these guys in between. So I'm going to copy down here. I better copy them all and then just switch what's required. It will be this guy, and I'm going to change, this 2 minus x minus 5, this will change into, these guys will simplify to minus x minus 3. Now, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. We can also simplify this 15 plus 6 times x plus 3. So I'm going to do it here in the same step just to make our life simpler. There it is. So this would be 6 times x. It's a very ugly 6, I'm sorry. 6 times x would be plus 18. Alright. Now from here, I guess you will figure out what's going to happen. We're going to use a super cool division here with this the inner terms over, the outer terms over the inner terms, and we'll get to this. Let's see. Let's copy this one out. And oh, this is a pretty long process, but it's a very nice, and it's in my opinion. 6 times x times plus 18 will be multiplying times 2 times x plus 5. This would be all over. Here we have 5 times 2 times x plus 1 times this minus x minus 3. And here comes the thing. We have to simplify something from this this division, this rational expression. The thing is, we can, for instance, factorize in this guy, in this term, we can factorize a 6, a positive 6. So if we factorize the 6, we'll get, so factorize the 6 in this case will be 6 times x plus 3. And this guy looks very similar to actually the one up here, down here, I'm sorry. But this has both terms inside are negative. So, but we can do this trick and multiplying times -1, or taking outside the negative sign, and we'll turn this guy into this negative x plus 3. So let's get to it on the next step, and let's scroll down a bit, or a bit more than a bit. There it is, and let's see. Let's continue. Here we'll copy this guy out. There it is, and let's see. Well, this limit, factorizing the 6 in the first term will be 6 times x plus 3. This will be times, 2 times x plus 5. This will be all over. Now this negative sign, I'm going to put it up front with this 5 to make this -5 times 2 times x plus 1 times x positive x x plus 3. And well, you see now clearly we're going to cancel out this guy, these two guys, and we'll get to something simpler. This will turn out this 6 and this 2 that we got here, 6 and 2, we can multiply them and make this a positive 12 times x plus 5 times x plus 5. It will be all over -5 times 2 times x plus 1. Now, after simplifying, after cancelling out terms such as these two guys, we must always check for this x equal to x approaching as -3 and substitute the value for x. So let's see if we get to something defined. It will be here 12 times, and here we leave space here for the -3. It will be all over, here will be -5, and here would be 2 times this negative 3, negative 3 plus 1, closing this bracket, and this would be here, it's a negative 3, here is a negative 3. Notice that we are not writing anymore this limit symbol because we are substituting the values in here for x. We stop writing the limit symbol. Let's scroll down a bit and see where we get. This will turn into, well, this will be positive 12 times positive 2 would make it will be negative 5 times, it would be inside here will be positive negative 5 as well, negative 5. Oh, it's a very ugly 5. So it's going to negative 5, and at the end, well, 12 times 2 will make 24. This negative 5 times negative 5 will make a positive 25, and that's actually the solution for this limit, albeit